Welcome to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast with your host, wealth coach Wade Reed.
Hey, what is up, Money Masters? It's Wade Reed again, host of the Wealth Acceleration Podcast, and I'm so excited to be with you today to talk about one of my favorite topics, Systemize. So as you know by now, my main system for money management is based on 4 key principles. The first is get organized, financially organized, mentally organized, monitor your mindset, check in with your belief systems, clarify what's important to you. And we talked about that on a prior podcast. Today it's systemize. So the next part is systemize, and then optimize, which is closely related to maximize. So today is the part 2 of the 4-part acronym and 4-part principles of money management, becoming a money master. Let's get systemized. So I want to tell you a story. A few years ago, I had an incident, and if you remember from a prior podcast I did on vision, I talked about how I have water issues in my house for whatever reason. We periodically have issues show up. So this is one of those stories. And one of the first things that happened when we moved into this house is we had it was a freezer. Yep, it was our freezer. Just kind of thinking back to get the right details here. We have a side-by-side fridge. It has a freezer and it has an ice maker. Most of us have ice makers these days. This is a normal thing, but most of us probably have not yet had one fail. Well, I'm one of those few possibly who have had an ice maker fail. For some reason or another, something happened where the water kept flowing after it was supposed to be shut off. Water flowed down into the base of that freezer and onto the floor, creating some pretty significant water damage in our kitchen. Well, after that, I turned off the water ice maker, that is, so that we wouldn't have any issues. And what did we have to do to get ice? Well, we had to buy bags of ice, or we had to get those trays of ice. So if you can imagine with me, those trays of ice, every day we have to open them up, crack them to get them loose, put them in a bag. And there was some effort that we had to go to make sure that we had ice. I mean, who doesn't like ice in their drinks, right? So for years, we do this. Why? Well, one, I knew it was going to cost $100 to $150 to get a new ice maker. Number 2, I wasn't quite sure how to install it. Number 3, I was fearful that there would be more water damage if we installed it and something went wrong again. So we just delayed and delayed until one day I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of running out of ice. I'm so sick of having to crack these ice trays, or they actually crack when you do it and you have to replace them. So I'm like, what am I doing? Why don't I just put an ice maker back in so I don't have to worry about it? Well, our ice bin always seemed to be empty. We never seemed to have enough ice, so it was finally like breaking point. I'm done with this. I'm just going to get the ice maker. I found one for about $100. The install was really simple, and I turned it on, and from that point forward, it's literally set it and forget it. I never have had to worry about ice since then. It's been about 3 years. That's a lot like what happens with money. When we get ourselves financially organized, we recognize what we need to do to keep things on track. We have basically some benchmarks like that bin of ice. We know how much we need to stay in good flow, to not be running out all the time. And then we just put a system in place. So what does that system look like? Well, first of all, you need to have some bank accounts. Most of us fund our income into a checking account. Nothing particularly wrong with that, except for there are some psychological things happening due to laziness. We've been trained to spend everything that comes into that checking account. It's kind of like back in the day when we had cash in our pockets. We used to get paid in cash or by check. We'd go cash that check and we'd put some of our money in our pocket. That pocket money, in essence, was intended to be spent. Well, today's checking account is like that pocket money. The pocket money, the checking account, it's our bill pay account. In essence, anything that goes into the checking account is intended to be spent. And so to overcome the psychological mishaps of draining our bank account and never having enough to save or invest, what I have found is the system of kind of like that ice bin and the ice machine. We set it and forget it. Well, we need to have the ice machine. We have the bin, but we need to have the ice machine. The ice machine is like the savings account. So what I found over the years is there's this thing called lifestyle creep. And as our resources, as our income increases, we tend to spend all of it and sometimes more of it because we anticipate, oh, I'm going to have a big increase. We maybe miscalculate what that's going to be. We overspend. It's kind of a silly behavior, but most of us have done it at some point. And so as lifestyle creep happens, the only way we overcome that is if we set a point of clarity of what our living expenses are and we stay there. And we have an automation where every dollar goes into a savings account rather than a checking account. Well, let's put it this way. It doesn't have to be a savings. It could be a money market. It could be a checking, just as long as it's not the bill pay account. Guys, this is the secret sauce of everything I do with all the clients I've worked with over the years. This is like the thing. This is something I've learned from my own mentorship. I hired a mentor. I've been mentored by many people. I've read the books. I've looked at the systems. Almost everyone goes through the checking and then to savings. What I found, guys, we need to have it opposite. We need to have all of our income go through a separate account first. This is the system. Everything goes through a separate account. It tells the brain all of it's mine first. Everything I earn is mine to keep. And then only based on my values and the things that I determine that I need, do I move money out of that account to my bill pay account, that checking account, that personal operating account. And so in essence, we put ourselves on a salary. We earn a salary from our businesses or from our employment that goes into that catch-all account. I often call it a wealth capture account or a clearing account. That's just nicknames for it to help determine what it is. And then I set a new salary for myself, which is the amount that I need to live on. Everything else just automatically stays in that savings account. And what has happened for me, what has happened for my clients who do this, is there's more cash there than you realize you would ever have. Like I have clients who say, wait, I've never had this much cash in my life. Where did it all come from? Well, it's just automating the system. So guys, today is going to be kind of short in that regard, but my point being, of course, this is just a talking head today. There's no visuals on this at the moment, but I do have some stuff on the website. If you're working with me or someone else one-on-one on the team or in a coaching process, I give you the visuals on this. But the point is you need to have a system. If we don't have a system, things leak out. There's like my ice bin, it's always empty. It's like you have it and then it's gone. You have it and then it's gone. You forget to do certain things. You forget to move money to savings, so you just spend what's there. We need to overcome lifestyle creep. We need to be smarter than that. We need to just kind of get out of our own way by having a system where you put money through a separate account. It's like I guess what could you call it? It's like an intermediary account. It's again, wealth capture clearing account. It in essence, it's just an intermediary where everything goes first. And then as it builds up, we have our emergency money automatically handled. We have some fund money that's automatically there. We have money available to make investments when the timing's right. If we have a debt we want to pay off, we have money building up that we can just pay that off. Like if there's a consumer thing that comes up or something unexpected that you had to pay for, a larger expense like this flood and having to pay a deductible, like there's just money there. It makes things really easy to handle. So that's part 2. Organize and systemize. We got to get a system in place that's pretty much automatic so that our bank account is filling up rather than always being depleted. All right, guys. Take care. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast. We hope the insights from today's episode help you streamline your finances and grow your wealth stress-free. For show notes from today's episode and more tips on creating a comprehensive wealth building plan, visit moneymasterycoaching.com. Remember, financial freedom is attainable. Until next time, keep accelerating towards your goals. See you on the next episode.